Some children grow up in loud homes, arguments, expectations, comparisons. But some grow up in a different kind of silence, not the peaceful kind, the kind where no one really notices you. You weren't the problem child. You weren't the favorite either. You were the easy one, the quiet one, the one who never asked for much. And slowly, without anyone meaning to, you learned something dangerous, that your feelings didn't matter. Psychologists sometimes call this the invisible child. And the strange thing is, many invisible children grow up to be the most thoughtful, sensitive, and responsible adults. But inside, they carry a quiet question that never fully goes away. Why do I always feel unseen? Pause for a moment. Does any part of that feel familiar? Imagine a typical family dinner. Everyone is at the table. One sibling is arguing about something, loud, emotional, demanding attention. Another sibling is being praised for their achievements, good grades, talents, big personality. And then there's you. You're sitting there too. You're polite, you're calm, you don't cause trouble. If someone asks how your day was, you say, "It was fine," because it usually feels easier than explaining anything deeper. No one interrupts you, but no one really leans in to hear you either. At first, you don't think much about it. You just adapt. You learn that being quiet keeps things smooth. You learn that being low maintenance makes adults happy. You learn that other people's emotions are louder than yours. So you start shrinking parts of yourself. Not on purpose, just slowly, like lowering the volume of a song until it's barely audible. And over time, something strange happens. You become very good at disappearing in plain sight. Here's the thing most people misunderstand about the invisible child. It's not always about cruelty. Sometimes the parents are overwhelmed. Sometimes the family revolves around a difficult sibling. Sometimes there's financial stress, illness, or constant conflict. In those environments, attention naturally goes to the loudest problem, and the invisible child becomes background. Not ignored out of hate, ignored because they seem okay. They seem strong. They seem independent. But inside, that child is learning a powerful psychological rule. If I don't need anything, I won't be a burden. And that rule quietly follows them into adulthood. Think about how this shows up later in life. The invisible child often becomes the person everyone relies on. They listen more than they talk. They notice small emotional shifts in others. They're careful with people's feelings. They're incredibly self-aware. But when it comes to their own needs, everything gets blurry. They hesitate to ask for help. They downplay their problems. They apologize for things that aren't even their fault. And when someone finally asks, "Are you okay?" the automatic answer appears, "I'm fine," even when they're not, especially when they're not. Here's something interesting. Invisible children often become overthinkers, not because they're weak, but because they spent years observing instead of expressing. When you grow up quiet in a loud environment, your brain becomes an emotional radar. You learn to read faces, tones, tiny shifts in mood. You notice everything. And while that makes you deeply empathetic, it can also make your mind exhausting. Because your brain is always scanning, always analyzing, always wondering if you're doing something wrong. Pause for a second and ask yourself something honest. When something hurts you, do you speak up or do you quietly convince yourself it's not a big deal? Many invisible children become the strong friend. You know the one, the friend everyone goes to with their problems, the listener, the fixer, the calm voice during chaos. People admire them for it. They seem emotionally mature, wise, grounded. But here's the twist most people never see. That strength often started as survival. When you grow up feeling unseen, you learn to earn connection by being useful, by being supportive, by being the stable one. And slowly, a silent belief forms. If I help others enough, maybe I'll matter. But the truth is, you already mattered. no performance required. Another strange effect of being the invisible child appears in relationships. Sometimes, these adults struggle to believe they are truly important to someone, even when they are loved, even when someone shows up for them. Part of them still waits for the moment they'll fade into the background again. So they overgive, they overthink, they overanalyze small signals, a delayed message, a different tone, a quiet moment. Their mind whispers the old story. Maybe I'm not that important. But that voice didn't start with them. It started years ago, at a dinner table, in a house where their quietness made them easy to overlook. Here's the realization that changes everything. Being invisible as a child often creates extraordinary emotional depth as an adult. You understand people. You sense pain others hide. You care in ways many people never learn. Those qualities are not weaknesses, they're rare strengths, but they only become healthy when you stop applying them only to others and start offering them to yourself. That means something simple but powerful. Letting yourself take up space, saying what you actually feel, admitting when something hurts, allowing your needs to exist without apology. For someone who spent years being the easy one, that can feel uncomfortable, almost wrong. But it's not wrong. It's growth. Think back to that quiet child for a moment, the one sitting at the edge of the room, the one who stayed calm while everyone else was loud, the one who learned not to ask for too much. That child wasn't weak. They were adapting. They were surviving the only way they knew how. And today, you get to give that child something they didn't always receive: attention, compassion, permission to be seen. Not by the whole world, just by yourself. Because sometimes the most powerful shift in life is realizing this: you were never meant to stay invisible. You just learned how. And anything learned can be unlearned.